Hi everyone, how you doing? Welcome to episode 9 of the Trip VR podcast. My name's VR Bug, and with us this week we have Greg Benjo. Say hello.
Hello there.
Hello Ben, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you very much. No worries.
No worries. And of course we have Dr. Greg. How are you, Greg?
I am doing fantastic.
Good
Even
stuff.
though it's very early for me because you weirdos want to do this at 2 your time.
So what time is it where you are right now then?
Well, right now it's 8:34 now, but I had to get up at 6:30 to make sure I was pretty enough for this.
8:34. So. That's late in the day for me. 8:34.
Dedication.
No, I know. Like I get up at like 6 in the morning or something.
Well, 6:30 is when I got up. Yeah, that's
wow.
My cats pretty much demand that. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're with us at that time, Greg. Thank you very much for your dedication to Trip VR.
That's right.
Coming up this episode, we talk about HTC's forthcoming headset that's been teased recently. And also we have a chat about any games we've been playing over the last few weeks and what's caught our eye in the VR industry.
So, as we know, the Quest and the Quest 2 pretty much have a monopoly right now on the standalone VR headset market, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice because it's brought in a ton of new people into VR, great entryway price point, good bit of hardware, it's not top end VR, but it's good enough to run fantastic games. But monopolies typically are bad things. So competition surely is on the horizon, and it looks like HTC are going to dip their toe in and give us something that can straight up compete with the Quest and take on Oculus and Facebook's absolute domination of the VR market right now. I'm personally very excited at that concept because I think competition is the best thing, the healthiest thing you can have, especially in a growing industry like this, because we need alternatives. And we've already seen across the board that people are adverse to getting into VR with Oculus Quest or Oculus Quest 2 because of the Facebook connection. Giving people a new option is brilliant, and I can't wait to see what a high-end VR manufacturer like HTC can do. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So they teased it, didn't they? They teased it yesterday.
I know that obviously everyone thought they were teasing it weeks ago, but it ended up being the trackers,
the face tracker.
We talked ad nauseum about that in our last podcast.
We did. But so I agree. Like Facebook definitely have a monopoly of the VR standalone market at the moment, and we know it's overdue some competition in the space. And if ever there's a company that could potentially pull it out of the bag, it's probably HTC. My only other company that I think could move into that space is maybe Valve. But as we know, they shoot for the high-end enthusiast market, the higher price point, although HTC isn't normally that cheap either.
Yeah, HTC too, yeah.
That's it. So, but we know that Valve may be working on something from their patents, but HTC sound like they're going to be the first ones to market with the competitor at the moment. And so I think maybe the question is how close of a competitor can they really be against the behemoth that is Facebook, with all that amounts of R&D they've got behind the Quest 2. Like what can they offer? What will take people away from Quest?
I don't think they're going to be competing price-wise. I really don't. I just don't think they can come close because Facebook just has so much money. They can afford to sell their hardware even at a loss because they're probably making it up so much in software and everything else, and all the data mining and everything that they do. Because what's going on with the Quest, and so, but that being said, I think they can compete big time with the quality of experience that you're getting. You know that they're going to have. I bet you they have OLED screens. Because
Vive Pro wasn't it? Was that OLED?
Yes. And so is the Vive. And that was. I remember when I first got my Index. That was the one thing that was kind of shocked me because I had this massive field of view and this crystal clear image, but it's like. But it looks washed out, and just because it didn't have those really rich darks.
You want those colors to pop and the darks to really control.
Agreed. I mean, if they can produce a OLED screen, give us maybe a little bit of a lift on the field of view as well.
Audio.
Then and audio, because the Quest, that's probably the weakest part of the Quest. Is the fact that it's the piped audio. I mean, it's adequate, It does a job, and it's not as bad as I think a lot of people make out. But if you compare it to a high-end headset, like the Index, there's just no comparison between the two. And they have to cut corners on cost somewhere, and they did it with the audio. So
I think the more time I spend with the Quest, the more you kind of realise things that have been cut or corners that have been shaved off. So things like it's a very content creator way to think, but the things like not being able to use an external mic natively with the Quest. Like I can't plug something in that has a microphone. Like if these headphones have a microphone, if I plug that in, I've still got to use the inbuilt Quest mic, and it's little things like that. I was actually giving this whole thing. I'm glad we're talking about this. I was giving this a lot of thought this morning about the whole HTC getting involved in this market. And the way I look at it, I think Greg's completely right. I don't think they'll compete price wise. I mean, we're not going to see that thing drop for any less than 450. 450 is kind of
500.
Yeah. You see, I'm thinking 600, 599, something like that.
I can see it sitting anywhere around there, but I cannot see it going anywhere less. Sub 450, it's not happening. I don't think.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But I think if you look at VR as a whole and look at the community as a whole, and I don't want to segregate it. That's not what I'm doing here. But it is broken down into subsets. You do have quite casual VR players who are getting in through the Quest and through the Quest 2, families, younger kids, people who are just interested in the experience, and they don't really care about the technical aspect that we're kind of covering here. They just want games that make them feel like they're in the game, and they just want to get lost in it.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I kind of sit in there because I'm just still in awe of all VR. I can put a game on, and it doesn't have to be the most high-tech thing. It can look like a kid's cartoon, and I'll have a blast. Yeah. So I kind of sit within that. But then I'm really aware that there is the other side of VR, which is almost hobbyists, and they're very much into the technical aspect. They want the higher specs. They want OLED. Yeah. They want to be able to use their own mics. They want high quality audio. They want wider field of view. They want it to almost be modular. They want to be able to change things and switch things out. So I think they're going after that market, because that market, are they buying the Quest? Do they want do they want a standalone headset? Yeah, probably. But are they buying the Quest? Probably not, because they probably already have a Rift or a Vive or a Valve, an Index. I think there's a big chunk of people that want a standalone headset but aren't necessarily buying into the Quest, because from their point of view, it's kind of like a Fisher-Price My First VR. You know what I'm saying?
It is kind of like that. I'd say maybe Google Cardboard was probably more that than the Quest.
I love Oculus. No, I just bought a second Rift.
Me too.
I'm forced into it by the fact that they've been discontinued, but I have a spare Rift just sitting upstairs now. So I've got 2 Rifts and a Quest 2, and I love it. I do love it. Facebook doesn't really bother me. I don't engage with it, but I see the problematic
side of that.
I know why it's wrong, and I know why people are averse to it. Yeah. But I honestly think there's going to be a huge portion of people that sit back and look at it and go, I'm not interested in that. Yeah. I want something that's on par or as close to possible as my PC VR headset, but that I can just stick on in a different room of the house and play. And I don't think they're going to engage with the Quest because they see it as being subpar compared to what they've already got. So I think they're going to go for the high-end PC market, but as a standalone thing.
Yeah, so to be able to stream Steam VR, I think is kind of an essential part of that. It has to be able to do that. It has to. It's one of the biggest selling points of the Quest. I mean, I know they're not directly competing, but without that functionality, they're going to lose a lot of the market. So
do you mean like out-of-the-box functionality, like streaming Quest, stream Steam from PC straight out of the box? You don't need to buy a virtual desktop.
And HTC will probably produce their own software for something like that, I would have thought. So, I would expect, if that's the market that they're going for, what you've described, that it streams Steam VR content out of the box, definitely, as one of the biggest selling points.
I saw an interesting take on Twitter this morning. I think it was Gamertag. He popped something on Twitter saying he would love to see some form of, a little bit like what Microsoft did with the Xbox with the Game Pass thing, some form of subscription-based model that ties the standalone headset in with Viveport or Viveport Infinity, so that you'd pay on monthly, you'd get the headset, but you'd also be subscribed to that service. Yeah, because that would bring in the non-hobbyists. If you could look at it and go, okay, 40 quid a month, 30 quid a month, whatever it is, and I'll get a headset that's pretty high-end, plus I'll get a subscription to this Viveport thing, and at some point in 2 years you've paid it off and it's just yours and you can continue the subscription if you want to. Something like that Microsoft have been leveraging with Game Pass. I think that kind of thing, that kind of almost monthly installment type Netflix style subscription is probably the future for most things. And I think they've already got the infrastructure there. So if they could offer that, I know immediately, I'm going to buy one immediately anyway. I'm not kidding anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as they drop it, I'm going to hit pre-order. If I've got no money, I'll find a way. But ultimately, if they offered that as a way to purchase it, that's probably how I do it. I'll be like, you know what, I don't already sign up for Viveport. If I'm going to get the kind of that huge back catalogue of games and a headset for 30 quid a month or whatever it might be, all right. I wouldn't even think twice. I'd just hit the button.
Yeah, I mean, for 600 and something odd quid, I'd probably think twice, just because, it's a lot of money just to spend in 1 month.
Well, yeah, let's not forget their last headset that they released, the whatever the heck it is, like Cosmos. That was a disaster, Of course, that their marketing for that was so bizarre. It's like non-existent, really. But that brings me to, I hope that they have done whatever they need to do to get their tracking better, because I still hear the Cosmos is just...
I would have thought they would have learnt their lesson from the Cosmos. I mean, how can you not? The tracking on that was terrible.
You watch people try to do like tilt brush, and it's just like, and it burned through the battery so quick apparently as well. Yeah, because it's so bright.
Expensive as well.
Yeah, it wasn't a cheap
like $700. I believe.
I think the Cosmos Elite with the faceplate on the front, if you get that maybe combined with index controllers, then you're right. And that headset's...
This is what I mean about modular.
Yeah.
This is that modular thing,
You're right.
Obviously, like, I want to take that from that because that's the best thing, and I want to take that from that because I want to make my own headset almost.
Yeah, you're right. And HTC are kind of going down that path, aren't they? So that could well be another feature of this headset, is that it's modular in some shape or form. Upgradable. Or...
Something Greg just said actually, like, kind of triggered something in my brain as we said about marketing. You both almost definitely noticed, like, their marketing, especially online on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's completely different now.
Completely
all of
different.
A sudden, they're dropping like memes. They're responding to people talking about VR, even if it's not talking about HTC VR. They're just dropping into conversations with weird. They've definitely got a new community manager, or they've changed their approach on the run up to this headset.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of snark in there too. I noticed, which is great because people love the snark. So
and I think that's really indicative of where they're going. I think they understand the audience they're going to need to try and capture with this headset. So they're like, right, let's change our social media approach.
And that's good because one of the faults of HTC in the past is they haven't really identified the market that they're trying to sell the headset to, and it's been confusing. So a lot of the times they've kind of gone in and said, no, it's an enterprise headset, but we will sell it to consumers. So kind of like prosumers, and everyone's just confused across the board because it's like, well, I'm a kind of like a prosumer, but I'm still not willing to part that much money. And then they go, oh no, it's a business headset. And then you go,
exactly.
Is it? But you're selling it. But you've been trying to sell it to me. I'm sure you've been trying to sell it to me. You haven't been selling it to my business. I'm pretty sure you've been trying to sell it to me. And this comes across on Twitter this morning. So good old Twitter.
Twitter.
It's great, isn't it? So there's a few conversations going on about whether or not this is going to be targeted at business, because apparently in a lot of their tweets they keep on referencing the word "let's get down to business." Or now that that's over and done with, this is going to be the business, or things like that, And so everyone's like, well, they've used the word business 2 or 3 times in a few tweets. Therefore, does this mean that they're going to be aiming at the enterprise market with this headset as well? And it's like, it just confuses the hell out of me if they're going to do that, because the way that they've advertised their face tracker is for the consumer, right? The way they've advertised the new Vive Tracker 3.0s is to the consumer. And you can feel that kind of wanting to interact with not just VR community, anyone that is just enthusiastic in any shape or form about VR. You can feel that they're targeting those people. And then if they carry on with that same vibe, and then they do the tease for the headset like they teased the face tracker, then it stands to reason that they're still aiming for that market, Yeah. And it has that feel. So if this turns out to be an enterprise headset after all this for like 900 quid or something, I'm just going to be like, HTC, what the hell?
Well, there's a mixed message there because, they're marketing to the consumer for their lip tracker, but their lip tracker is made for their enterprise headset. So it's like, wait a minute here.
That's it. And originally it's made for the Vive Pro Eye, wasn't it? Yeah. So people like VTubers, they want the eye tracking, they want the facial tracking. So they were kind of, I guess, targeting them. In which case, in a way, you could argue it is kind of enterprise, because the Vive Pro Eye specifically costs a fortune and has been primarily used in business. And this is a confusion that HTC have caused in the past, and that we're still worried they're about to do the same thing again. Mixed messages all over the place. So I'm just excited to kind of see what this is and how they go about it, because I know that I'm going to want this headset, especially if it's standalone and can stream Steam VR content. I'm going to want it. But if it is 800-900 quid, then it might be a little bit out of my price range.
Yeah, well, according to that one guy that they did the interview with when they were doing the lip tracker thing, it's like the best headset out there. It's going to blow everything else out of the water, but he may just be, hyping
lip service.
Yeah, just kind of hyping it up a bit.
I'm super excited to see what it is.
Definitely.
Same here.
So what else do we want then? What about the controllers? So do we think they're going to go down like Oculus Touch route, or do we think they're going to go more kind of Valve Index?
I think the touch controllers. Again, I'm a little bit biased because they are my favorite.
Yeah.
I think they're the standard, and I think you can see that in even if you look at what PlayStation VR, PSVR 2 are doing. They've looked at Oculus Touch controllers and gone, let's do that. Yeah. But let's put some of our spin on it. Let's put our bit of special features in there and the haptics and all that kind of stuff. I think they are the standard. I'd like to see something like that.
But the strap over the knuckles on the Index,
a built-in thing. Yeah.
A lot of people have modded their Quest 2 controllers to have those. Mm-hmm. I've got them. I think you've got them as well, Benjo, haven't you?
I have.
There you
I've
go.
never done it.
So theoretically, a kind of hybrid between the two is possibly the way to go. So if you look at Deca Gear, their forthcoming headset, they've got kind of like a hybrid controller for the Deca Gear 1, which is so it looks like a kind of touch, but it's got the strap similar to the Index as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if HTC are going down that route.
I mean, I don't think they need to do too much to win people like Greg over or people like me over. I don't think they actually have to do a huge amount. They just, as he's just kind of alluded to, that screen, if it's got the crisp blacks, the dark blacks, the beautiful popping colors, because a lot of people, I see it almost consistently once a week, I think, on my channel, someone will say about the Quest 2, the blacks aren't black, they're washed out, they're grey. Yeah. And I see it every single week. And me, as not so much a hobbyist, I'm like, they're black. But that's because it's me.
Get used to it.
The problem is, though, it depends whether or not you want the high refresh rate, yeah? Because the problem with OLED is generally it's like 90 hertz, isn't it?
90 hertz is good.
90 hertz is fine.
Yeah, 90 hertz is good, but once you've played the Index at 122 hertz, it's like there's something about that. It just feels more real. The fidelity's a lot higher.
It's all about looking at what exists currently in the market and where is it going to sit. You know, I think at the moment, if you have a look at the Steam charts, all the stats and the facts that have come out recently, Quest 2 has been out for how long? 6 months. It already has it's over 20% of the install base of Steam users are using a Quest 2 as their VR headset.
It's crazy.
Vive will have looked at that and gone, that is absolutely amazing. So the appeal for them to make something that is a bit more affordable, it's not going to be Quest affordable, but a bit more affordable, but with better specs, just so they can eat into some of that market, is going to be huge. So I think, whereas the 122 hertz, those kind of really flashy top-end PC VR features are great, it depends where they're coming at with this headset, because they already have those features in an existing headset. If they're trying, it feels to me anyway like they need to capture a different part of the market. So I don't think they have to go after that kind of thing. I think 90 hertz is fine, better screen quality. For me, any new headset I buy in the future, field of view is my thing. I just want wider field of view. I mean, I've seen that debate raging on Twitter as well recently, kind of like, what would you want out of new headsets? Field of view for me is one of the biggest things, because I like, that's why we play VR. We want to feel like we're in that world. And how do you achieve that? You give me a wider field of view. I want to, if we get to the point where it's like my actual eyes.
Amazing.
Great.
I know, that's it.
I was talking to Cameron or Hellquake about that yesterday. We were in Pop 1, and I was like, man, I think one of the things that would really help, because now they've got that tower opened up and it's so chaotic in there trying and I'm like,
Greg, you've managed to get
with.
Pop 1 into the podcast
Every time.
in the first 10 minutes again.
Yes. But my point is, it's so chaotic with the field of view. I think that's one of the reasons I feel like I'm at a disadvantage because, I'm an old guy. These young kids are so quick and responsive. And I just feel like I'm so,
You're there, aren't you?
I don't have my peripheral vision,
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I could see more, it would give me a bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
So I've often edited videos where I've been playing in VR, and something that shocked me in VR, I see it a lot earlier when I'm looking at the footage.
Okay.
It's really strange. So it's like right on the corners.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something to do with the kind of almost a tunnel vision effect when you're actually playing in VR.
It's
when
gotta
you look
be,
at
I think.
if you kind of look at a full screen, so I don't know. I think field of view is crucial. Field of view, fantastic, amazing battery life. I want that thing. What do I get out of the Quest 2?
2 hours.
3 hours at a push.
Yeah.
Depends what I'm playing.
Steve gets like Steve just gets infinite with his particle collider.
Duct tape.
Yeah, with the CERN particle collider taped to the back of my head. Works a treat. Works
It
a
looks
treat.
good. It
does.
It's a fashion statement.
It is. With the field of view, I completely agree. It's like at the moment, VR still feels like you're wearing big binoculars, and every now and then you kind of forget about the blinkers a bit, and you feel immersed in the game if it's a really good experience. But I think that if you could push your head further in with the field of view, then eventually the headset, the feeling of wearing a headset is just going to slowly disappear.
Fade away.
Yeah, it's going to fade away. And when we get to that point, it's going to be incredible. Originally with these headsets, it was all about the screen door effect with the pixels, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's like, oh my God, it doesn't feel like VR because of the pixels. Problem is now solved. What's the next problem? Oh God, it doesn't feel like VR because I feel like I'm wearing binoculars. So the next one to solve is definitely field of view. I completely agree. And so maybe they'll bump the field of view on this. So the standard's normally about 110 at the moment, field of view. So maybe we'll see them pushing closer to the index, 130, something like that.
I hope so.
I'd love to.
Because there's such a huge difference. I play with the Rift S so much because of Pop 1. And then when I go to play something, I put that index on. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
'cause it's just so much bigger field of view.
Yeah, it does make a hell of a difference to that kind of feeling fidelity of being in that world. 100%. Definitely.
I'm just so excited for someone to come and shake things up.
Yeah.
I think shaking things up is just the best thing you can do. And right now, Oculus and Facebook are just coasting.
Yeah, that's it. And
sitting back.
I mean, if HTC don't do this and they get it wrong, then we're not really left with much in the way of competition.
Someone else will come.
Someone else has got to fill that gap.
Someone else has got to come. I've seen loads of articles recently about PlayStation actually, and about how it seems like their VR plans are bigger than the PlayStation 5.
Bigger than the PS2.
Yeah, so that came off the back of an article, Upload VR, wasn't it? They did an interview, I think, and they got the impression from that interview that maybe Sony could be heading towards a standalone headset separate from the PlayStation. So a Sony branded headset, not a PlayStation branded one.
I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
I wouldn't be shocked because you imagine, like Sony, what an amazing company, and for them to come to market.
That would probably be some pretty high tech stuff too.
Yeah. Sony's always been cutting edge.
All the companies right now, all tech companies right now will have their eyes on Oculus and Facebook.
Yeah.
Because they've just made an absolute killing in an emerging market.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be looking at that going, we want a piece of that pie right now.
That's so awesome. I'm so excited for all of this.
I know.
Isn't
it great? Like, oh my God, since the dawn of commercial VR, I've just been excited about the tech anyway. But the excitement is definitely ramping up over the last 6 months. The
most exciting thing for me, that I keep having conversations with people where they say, but VR doesn't feel like it's growing. It doesn't feel like it's there yet. And I keep having to kind of remind people, I'm like, commercial VR, it's been, 5 years?
Yeah.
6 years, maybe. It's a blink of an eye in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, yeah.
Think back to when you were both like young. When I was younger, I remember the first Christmas where I got a Mega Drive. And at that point in time, I can't remember how old I was, but that was the best thing that gaming could do. And I'm 34 now, and games look almost like real life. In the grand scheme of things, that small 5-year jump is like Mega Drive to barely Mega Drive to Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Well, and look what's happened with cell phones. I mean, I got my first cell phone, I think, in 2006, and it was a Nokia brick, you know. And I was like, why would anybody want these damn things? I mean, I don't want people to be able to get a hold of me anywhere, you know? And then my ex-wife started texting. We got the Razor, and I'm like, why are people texting? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And now that's all I do. I won't even answer the phone. And you know, and now I can't go anywhere without this goddamn thing because it does everything.
I know, that's it. Like, but that's
5 years. 5 more years is all it will take for us to be living in a completely different world with VR.
Absolutely, and it's going to happen.
And the thing is, like, Facebook want VR headsets to be like your mobile phone. Like, you can't live without them. That's what they're gunning for. Whether it's business, whether it's play, whether it's just, communicate with your family, whatever it is, they want you in that headset, and they want you to have that same feeling you have for your mobile phone, but for the Quest. And that's where they're going to go. Well, it's going to go, but the way, especially with the recent like data leaks with Facebook as well, which is just ridiculous. I don't know like how far this company can actually take it in the future if they keep on doing things like this. I think some governing body somewhere will put the brakes on Facebook if they keep on leaking data like this. So this is why it's ripe in the market now for someone to come along that doesn't have that account requirement, to just kind of like sweep the board and just just take the market by storm. Disrupt it. That's what I'm called. Disrupt the market.
I think if you're sitting in VR right now and you're enjoying VR, just keep your eyes on Vive, Valve, Apple, and Sony.
Apple. Yeah.
What about? It's a shame that Pico Neo isn't over here. Actually.
Yeah. Again, even companies like that, they're making moves, creating things. And have they done 3 headsets now?
3 headsets.
So this week the Pico Neo 3 was announced, I think.
Everyone wants a slice of the pie.
Yeah.
Because there's so much of it to be taken.
And hopefully that means that all of these like big money, like big developers will also be saying, we should start making AAA VR games because we would like that.
You should.
Yes, they should.
Definitely.
I love all the indie games out there so much, and I'm having so much fun with them. But every time I do like a good AAA experience in VR, I was like, oh, I just want more of this so bad.
You know, and this is why I've been playing Half-Life Alyx to death. This is why I'm playing Subnautica from beginning to end now on my channel as well. Is because I want that kind of deep, huge world to explore, really good storyline, amazing visuals. I'm a sucker for that. I want that, you know. I love it. I love indie titles. Don't get me wrong, I love indie titles, but I tend to kind of jump in and out of indie titles in a couple of days.
We'll get to that glorious but also kind of shit position in a few years' time where we have to sift through all the crap. Right now, there's so few indie games, there's so few VR titles coming out weekly that the quality is still really high pretty much for all of them, because the people are so passionate and they're in there early, and these developers want to make the best games they can. But we will get to that crazy point in maybe 5 years where everyone's making VR games, and we'll be sifting through like, what is this? There'll be too much work. Right now, we're living in like the kind of the early heydays, but it's gonna get crazy.
I don't know, man. If you've been scrolling Steam VR under VR, I mean, it's pretty much all crap porn games.
My number one rule is never browse Steam VR.
I don't.
It's a wormhole, man.
I go to the most experienced tab. Currently being experienced tab, just to see what people are playing right now, and then I leave everything else alone. Oh, new releases. I have a little look at new releases.
It'll get to a Wednesday in the week, and I'll be like, I need to do something for the channel today, and I'll go on Steam and I'll go to that VR tab, and I'll have a second think about something. I'll look at it and go, could I get away with that?
No. Put the brakes on it. Just no.
Experience VR. Like,
step away.
Make something funny with that, probably, but probably
step away from the Steam VR charts. Ben, just step away from the Steam VR charts, right?
I do like to go to those pages though and like see that people actually write reviews for those games. Like really
in-depth, well-thought reviews detailing exactly how much nudity there is. And you can see the nudity.
Nice. Okay, well after this podcast, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go and read some reviews on Steam VR, and we'll see what's out there. Definitely. Cool.
Okay, so I was brave and I reached out to a developer of one of my new favorite games, Cosmodread. Sergio Hidalgo. I probably butchered that because, but I try. I went to Spanish in college and it didn't really stick. I can ask where the bathroom is. That's about it. So, but anyway, so anyway, I reached out to him and he's really busy and stuff, but he managed to sit down with me for a like 20-minute interview. And so here he is, Sergio Hidalgo.
Oh, fantastic. Cool.
Welcome, everyone, to Developer Interview. Today we have Sergio Hidalgo, the developer for Dread Halls and the new awesome game Cosmodread. Thanks for joining us, Sergio.
Thank you for having me, Greg. Nice to be here.
Yes. So why don't we start a little bit? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start in game development.
Well, I always wanted to be a game developer. I think from when I was a little kid, when I was playing games, and it inspired me to make my own games. Mm-hmm. And after university, I started looking into local studios here. I'm from Spain. I'm in Madrid. I started looking at work as a games developer around here. So I joined a very small studio that doesn't exist anymore. And from there, I moved into a bigger studio, and now I'm independent and started working on VR because it really stuck with me when I first tried it.
When did you first try VR?
I was working at, like I said, at the second studio, and one of the coworkers, he was one of the backers for the Kickstarter on the Oculus DK1, I think it was called. So he brought it into the office, and we all gave it a try. And I mean, it was amazing, really. It was a game changer for me because I had never experienced something like when I first looked into the headset, and it felt like I was peering into another world, right?
Yeah.
Because in my head, I was imagining that it would feel like having a screen strapped into your face. Mm-hmm. But it didn't feel like that, and that really surprised me. And I went into the Kickstarter page and backed it, and yeah.
That's awesome. How old were you when you did that? I'm curious.
Oh man, I need to do some math here.
Oh, okay.
Must be 28, something like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my first VR experience was in '93. It was that big giant thing you put on your head, and it had the pterodactyl. And oh my God.
Yeah, I had some experience in VR like that, like in the '90s too.
Yeah.
Maybe the early 2000s, where big headsets and very cumbersome and very low resolution.
Yeah, frame rate was like 20 frames per second. It was nauseating as hell.
Yeah.
Still,
I remember it was a very DC, very bad experience. Like, I remember something about a game about shooting some enemies, but I was mostly trying to figure how to look around and how to orient myself because I was completely lost and I wasn't able to recognize shapes, basically.
Yeah. That was pretty bad, but man, it's come a long way since then. All right. So both of your games are horror titles. I'm curious what you would say your biggest horror influence was.
I think it's mostly movies rather than games. Mostly things like Alien or The Thing. The Thing is one of my favorites.
Yes.
But in terms of games, I didn't play too much horror games. Most horror games or survival horror were for consoles, and I was more of a PC gamer.
Okay.
So I miss on Silent Hill or Resident Evil. I played it at a friend's house, but I never fully experienced like a really immersive survival horror game. Like you want to play Silent Hill and you want to play it in a dark room on your own to really get into it. And I never played like that. I played with a friend and kind of joking around, so it wasn't the same. But yeah, then after that I started getting into more horror games into PC, like Amnesia, which was a very big influence for me for Dreadhouse.
I could totally see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Did you expect Dread Halls to become like the VR classic that it is now?
Not really. Not. I mean, at first it was only a small prototype game, like I did in 15 days.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't expecting much. After it started to get some traction, then I realized like I could make that into a full game. So
Yeah,
by the time I
yeah.
released the full version, I was more aware of what I had in hands.
Oh, this game is brilliant. I love it.
Thanks.
So you kind of already answered this question a little bit, so I'm not even going to ask it. I'll just edit that out because I had a question about what made you think about getting into VR. But
Yeah, I mean, there's well, I can expand a bit on that if you want
okay,
me.
yes, I'd love to hear more about that.
So the story goes that I got my first kit, my first DK1, my Oculus Rift DK1,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a perfect storm because I got the kit. I was on vacation, on summer vacation, and my company, the company I was working on, just announced that there were some financial difficulties, and there was some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
The future didn't look so bright there.
Yeah.
So I started, I had some free time and I started playing with the technology. I mean, in my head, it was more for, building some portfolio and maybe trying to, look for another job in another studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was an interesting idea to have something done in VR. But, and then at the same time, Oculus announced a game jam with a prize. So okay, let's make something for it. And I started working because of that jam. I made a small prototype, released the game, and I also released it publicly because, again, it was for portfolio making.
Uh-huh.
And it started to work very well. And after that, Oculus contacted me, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome. So where did the idea from Cosmodread come from?
It was from a different game, a 2D game I was working on at the time. So I've been playing with the idea of procedural dungeon generation,
Uh-huh.
and I have been making 2D prototypes. And I was working on a small game that was kind of like a roguelike, stealth-based dungeon crawler kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All 2D, all view from above. And when I started working on something for VR, I had that in my mind. So I said, okay, let's make a procedural dungeon in VR and see how that plays. And when I first tried it, I realized that it was kind of scary because, the lighting and the monster was kind of scary.
Yeah.
And, the game kind of designed itself from that because it was clear that there was some horror element there and I could play into that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Everything about that game. I played it again last night. I gotta tell you, I was gutted because I had the jump drive started, I had the navigation done, I had gotten to Earth, and I got one hit killed by somebody getting to the shuttle, but my health was down. But anyway, I love all the elements that you put in there. It's a lot deeper than say Dread Halls because you've got the survival horror aspect and the inventory management and all that. It's brilliant. So and the sound design. How big of a team do you have? Do you do everything yourself?
No, so I am the only one in the company, the only one full time. But I hire freelancers to help me create the game. So I think the main team was about 6-7 people.
Okay.
Two artists for environment and items, another 3 people for the creatures, and then maybe 1 for the music, and I think the voice actors and actors.
Yes, yeah, because there's a lot going on in that game.
That's everyone.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a very personal game because I'm the one who did the entire design, the entire programming, and I'm the one who worked for 4 years or so working on the game before I started. I worked for maybe 2 or 3 years before I started hiring people, but it's not a one person did everything kind of thing.
Okay. I was just curious about that. So it took 4 years then, the game development?
About 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to give you a perfect estimate because I mean at the beginning I wasn't working on it full time. I was also working on porting Dreadhorse to Oculus Quest. I think it was at that time.
Okay.
So it was kind of a soft start. But yeah, about 4 years total from the very first beginning of the project.
Okay. All right. So I've seen you've released like 3 patches so far, I think. And personally, I want to thank you for the Vive control fix on the
yeah.
because when I was playing last night, that was so much nicer. Do you have any other big issues that you're working on right now? Anything that's been broken that?
There are issues. There's always issues, but I think the major ones, the ones that were blocking people from playing, those are fixed now. There might be some very specific issue with some people's hardware or configurations that is always hard to replicate and hard to fix. But I think most major ones are fixed by now, and there's always things that are broken, and it's also a more complex game because it has different systems that interact with each other.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like, okay, I throw a grenade and I close the door, but there is a computer terminal in this room, and it gets affected by the grenade. Things that I didn't test because it didn't happen in my test runs. I've been working on bug fixing since January.
Oh my!
Because before I released, I was also bug fixing. So yeah, it seems never ending at this point.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, when I played it last night, everything the things that I was, especially the angle of the gun for the Vive wands, that was great. It works so nice. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. One of those big blob guys was hiding in the dark, and I walked by, and my health was down quite a bit, and he just said, "Fook, dead." It's like, no.
Yeah, those can be frustrating.
Yeah. Oh my God. Beardo Benjo is going to be on our podcast too. And
I saw his video.
The end of it, I give him so much crap about that. I was like, I think you need a hug.
He should be happy to know that is already changed in the game.
Yeah.
So right now, when you trigger the escape sequence, you cannot die anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a bit unfair. I think that's too much.
Yeah, that's a little much. When he did that, I was like, that is the biggest troll I've ever seen.
But yeah,
that's always. If you watch people play, do you find that as a VR developer that because in VR people have so much more freedom than they do in like a 2D game? So do you like watch people go, oh crap, I didn't even think about that?
Yeah, there are always things like that. I noticed some people in the game you have room for 2 guns or 2 weapons. So you have one on the left side, on the left leg, another on the right one. And in my mind, I always designed the game to play with 2 weapons at most. But I realized that some people are playing with 3 weapons and juggling weapons and all that. So yeah, I never expected people to do that. So, yeah,
that's crazy. My favorite, I like the handgun. That's like my favorite gun out of all of them because it takes those 2 guys to
Yeah, it's a bit OP at the moment, maybe.
No, that's okay. Don't change that. Because I noticed like a lot of the little perk thingies on there is like, why would anybody want any of these? This is going to make it really hard.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. The idea is as you play, you probably get to master the game. So maybe you want to play a different way or with more difficulty. So yeah, it was a way of extending the game. So especially for people who are already completed a run and escaped and familiar with the game.
That's awesome. So have you? This is an idea that's been thrown around. I don't know if you've actually thought about this or not, but have you actually considered putting in like a multiplayer mode where people would be like spawn in different parts of the ship and have to find each other, or?
Yeah, many people are like very interested into co-op or multiplayer of some kind. It's very difficult because the game was designed for single player only.
Yeah.
So there is none of the infrastructure that would be required for a multiplayer game.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say it's almost as difficult as making an entire new game. Quite, but almost. So
I was wondering about that. Yeah, because I was talking to another developer, and there's like, you just don't understand how impossible it almost is to just get players to be able to do this in VR.
Yeah,
It's like multiplayer is hard. So
yeah, and many systems like what happens if one person drags an object and the other person tries to drag.
yeah,
So there are many physics and many systems that will need to be reworked from the ground up.
Okay. All right. VR Bug wanted me to ask you if you had any plans in the future for like DLC for maybe a different spaceship or anything like that.
So right now I'm more focused on the fixing bugs and making more basic improvements to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time that's done, I will probably take a good look at the game and see where it can go from there. I don't want to say anything right now because it also depends on how the game does. Financially and all that. So that will that will dictate what I can do realistically or not. I have some ideas of what I could do, but I'm not saying yet.
No, that's fine. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of a little thing that I noticed recently. You changed the name from Cosmophobia to Cosmodread, and I was curious, is that because you didn't want it to get kind of confused with Phasmophobia? Or...
Yeah, so this is a long story, but basically when I announced the game, Phasmophobia, I don't think
it was.
It wasn't released, but I don't think it was even announced at the time.
Yeah,
maybe it was announced and I didn't notice, but I first announced and then Phasmophobia released, and it really became very popular.
Yeah.
So at that point, people started. First, they started to wonder if my title had to do with their game,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe it was related somehow, or some people were confused. I know that some of the publishers and stuff that I contacted were thinking that it had something to do with Phasmophobia. There was some internal confusion there.
Yeah.
So I decided that it was better to clear that up by changing the name and avoiding that in the future. Because
yeah, it ties. It's okay too because it kind of ties in with Dread Halls, So so that's pretty cool. But that's kind of what I figured. The reason that you did that, because that does sound a lot like Phasmophobia. So
yeah, and I figured that if some publishers are getting confused, then probably the general public is going to be also confused.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was maybe the game hadn't released yet, so it was the right time to do that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, so this last one you've kind of already answered it, I think, but I'm going to ask anyway. So, from what I can see, Cosmodread is already becoming kind of a hit with VR community. People are really liking it. It's got great reviews. I believe it's at like very, very positive or whatever on Steam and all that kind of stuff. But I'm curious if you have any other game ideas in the future that you have boiling back there, or do you just focus completely on Cosmodread now?
So first, I'm very happy with the reception so far and the reviews. I'm really thankful for the players and the people who are supporting the game, not only by playing it, but also leaving positive reviews or also making comments and suggestions and giving me feedback of all kinds. So really thankful for that. And as for new games, right now I'm still working on Cosmodread, and I haven't had I always have some ideas in the back of my head. Like when I was developing Cosmodread, there was also some ideas, but I haven't anything concrete enough that I could work on that. And because I don't have any specific idea right now.
Okay.
I have some vague notions of where I want to go next. But like I said, maybe I will continue working on Cosmodread for some time. That depends on how well it does. So still very open right now. I'm still coming down from launch and the crunch period. And
yes. All right. Well, that's what I have for questions. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, because I know you've got a lot you've got to work on. And joining us for this interview. I know our our viewers are going to love it. So best of luck to you with Cosmodread, and we're hoping that you bring us more because your games are fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, and so that was the interview with Sergio. Thank you very much for doing that with Greg. Much appreciated. So, guys, we've all played the game recently, haven't we? And Benjo, I know you played the game. Oh, I know you played the game. I think a lot of people saw the video,
including Sergio.
It was very sad. For those that don't know, Benjo got to the end of the game. And well, I'll let you explain the very end bit. What happened?
So my first time playing the PC VR version, because I'd already played the Quest version previously. I thought, right, I need to do a comparison. Let's check out the PC VR version. And I jumped into it, and it was my first run. So in Cosmodread, your first run is pretty rough. You know, you've got the crossbow, and you haven't unlocked anything. And I've been playing for about 40 minutes, and I was like, this is going quite well. I found a few of the rooms. I might be able to pull this off. Ooh. And then it got to kind of an hour and 15 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'm really going to pull this off. I'm getting close to the end. I knew where the escape shuttle was. I knew where all the rooms were. I turned the power back on, and it was just my last mad dash to the escape shuttle. I ignored all the enemies because I was running out of oxygen.
You're just running away from them.
Just running. And I thought, you know, I can't go looking for oxygen now because I'll probably be killed by something. I just need to get to the space shuttle, the escape thing, pull it, go, Earth, done. First run, fantastic.
If this thing kills me still, it could still kill me. Look.
Didn't anticipate that my oxygen would continue to run out once I got into the escape shuttle. So I got into the escape shuttle, pulled the lever, the door closed. I was already celebrating at this point. You know, I was like, yes, I've done it. Oh my god, first try. Been in here for about an hour and 40 minutes. And then I realised the beeping.
Please,
was still going.
Look how close this is. No.
And I died as I re-entered Earth's atmosphere.
It was a really sad sight to watch. That
I've never seen a grown man so destroyed.
The positive that's come from this, you know, I died so other people won't have to.
That's right. It's fixed now.
So is that official? Is that fixed now?
Yeah,
Does the oxygen?
It's in the interview. He's like that. You can't die. He's like that's a little bit too much.
It was a little bit too much. I mean, you know, we all know the games he makes are quite hard. If we look at Dreadhalls, for example, but that is tough. That is really tough. Right out of oxygen right at the end.
It's a real testament to the game and to the style of games. Roguelike games are my favourite.
It's fantastic.
They're the things that I return. If you see me on my PC online, I'm doing one of three things. I'm recording a video, I'm editing a video, or I'm playing a roguelike. Sometimes all three at the same time. It really is my favourite genre, but it's a real testament to that game that it happened. I completely broke down. I was so gutted. And then I blamed myself.
You blamed yourself?
I was like, realistically, it's a roguelike. I know the threats in these games. I should have made sure I always had another oxygen thing. Because I found the escape shuttle quite early on, but I didn't really clock what it was for. I could have dropped some supplies there.
You could have done.
You start thinking about all these things you could do, like, I could have set up little kind of points throughout the. I didn't have any room for that at the time, but if I left it there. It's masterful.
I have to say, I've only just getting into roguelikes now, and it's the VR indie scene that's getting me into it. So, for example, Ancient Dungeon VR. So I started playing that, and I was like, it's procedurally generated. Am I really going to enjoy this? I'm probably going to get bored of it really, really quickly. But it was the first one that kind of grabbed me, and I actually, before I knew it, I'd spent like 3 hours in the game, and I was still thoroughly enjoying myself. And I was thinking about Ancient Dungeon after I played it as well, and which is always a sign that you're into a game, I think. Yeah. You know, if you still think about it once you're out of it, then you're itching to go back and play it again. And Ancient Dungeon got me like that, and Cosmodread has got me like it as well. I have got not very far in the game at all. I found a few of the rooms, but I'm just terrible at dealing with the monsters. I seem to end up with the spider ones, the crawlers.
I hate those things.
With the eye.
They get you like in the open cabinets, and they're sitting there. Like,
yeah.
I had a nice look at one the other day. I don't know why I was doing this. I had a real nice look at one. Right, killed it. And got right.
As you do.
That game is body horror personified. Those spiders, they're like the top half of them is a
big
jaw.
Mouth. Yeah.
Is it?
On top of their head, it's a human's jaw, so you can see all the teeth.
With the big eyeball, right?
And then in the middle, it's an eyeball. And I think the legs are fingers. They're all because I guess the lore, the deeper story in Cosmodread is that whatever's happened aboard this spaceship, because there's the big kind of creature that's kind of
Yeah.
right there, kind of looming, ever present. Whatever's happened here, it's kind of corrupted the people and kind of turned them into
Yeah.
creatures. It's very.
Which is why there's pieces of them laying all over the place, and
Oh
So
god,
the
yeah.
spider's kind of
yeah.
cobbled together with bits, and they're all kind of like that, but they've all got kind of prominent eyeballs.
Oh,
I actually watched. Who was I watching the other? I think it might be Gamertag again.
yeah.
I'm sending some big love to him today. Clearly, that's two times I've mentioned him. I was watching his playthrough, and there was a creature in there that I haven't seen.
Oh,
I've seen that before too. Have you seen the blobs that kind of fly and they swirl stuff around them
what?
and then they throw them at you? I hate those
I
bastards.
haven't seen those yet.
They like fly through the air and you'll see like junk and debris flying around them,
They
and
kind
then
of
all of a
pick
sudden
up
it hits you.
They're a bit like Saturn. They pick up a kind of big ring of shit, and then they lob it at you from a distance. And then when you kill them, they lob themselves at you.
What?
So, they can- so you kill it, and you're like, oh, it's dead. And if you don't move, it comes straight flying at you.
No, don't want to meet them.
But
Don't want to
GT
meet
was
them.
playing it, and he found it was like a I can only describe it as like an elephant. It's like a big tank in like a blue jumpsuit.
It sounds like the weirdest
I
creature
haven't
ever.
seen that one.
It still had like a blue jumpsuit on, and it was a tank, really big, meaty, muscly looking thing. It like came through the door towards him, and it almost filled the doorway. This horrible big thing, and I was like, oh my god! I thought I'd seen everything. I was like,
Yeah.
No,
What's
I
that?
keep seeing things as like I've never seen that. Yeah.
Well, again,
so, no.
testament to the game. Like
Yeah.
there's so much content to it. And let's talk about the atmosphere of the game.
Oh,
It's completely
good.
nailed science fiction horror for me. That kind of feeling of going onto a deserted ship, well, supposedly deserted ship, and you've only got your flashlight to light up the rooms. You never
sound
know.
design.
The
Oh.
sound
the
design
sound
is
design for me.
absolutely incredible. It's creepy as hell. I mean, what is the actual story? Because I know that do we crash into the spaceship at the beginning? I'm never too
dock
sure what.
You
Are we
dock
docking
on
with it?
Yeah.
choose
Okay.
to dock there. Yeah. So from making it to the ending and failing,
Yeah.
the little escape shuttle that you get in at the end, I think that's the ship you're in at the start.
That's your ship.
It's
Yeah.
your ship.
Okay.
So at the start, you pull the lever and you dock with this kind of derelict space station or spaceship, which has obviously it's very Dead Spacey in its
It is.
approach.
Mhm.
It's
It
been
is.
corrupted by this kind of. Because I looked, when you're in that kind of main hall and you look up through the skylight, you can kind of see this. At first, I thought it was some kind of asteroid or kind of mass, but it's quite clearly a creature.
Yeah.
It's got like big
giant
legs and
creature.
stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Big legs, and this thing's kind of derelict right in front of it. So it's obviously been corrupted by whatever that is. You've docked there for a stupid reason.
Yeah.
In any horror game and movie, no one has any kind of logical reasons to do the things they do. They
it's
just
true.
do dumb shit and then they die and then they think, why did I do that? So you dock, you go in and you're just there to turn this thing back on, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the whole game is you just turning the systems back on. You turn the jump drive on. You turn.
Yeah.
Possibly your ship didn't have enough juice to get to Earth, so you seeing that was like, that's my ticket home. If I can get in there, get that to Earth, then I can get, because the ship you're in is only like a small kind of, as we say, like an escape pod. So maybe you've come from a nearby problem, and you've gone there for the express purpose to kind of get that thing to jump to Earth, so then you can ride down to Earth in your escape shuttle. But I kind of like the obscurity.
Yeah.
It doesn't lay anything out for you. You can pick up audio tapes.
Yeah, those tapes you get a lot from. They're really important to listen to. Actually.
I haven't
They give you
listened
some good
to
hints,
too many
too.
of them at all, really. So
No, listen to them. Like that's how I figured out. Like if I see monsters, I pull them out into a room with light. If I don't have like a power cell with me, because if you kill them in the dark, they'll come back.
People in my comments kept telling me this, and I was like, "How have you learned that information?"
Yeah, no, it's on it. It's on a tape.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So if you can light up the rooms, then you generally start clearing the ship if you light the rooms up.
This is where you can get really clever with it, because I've been thinking like, okay, so you want to almost, once you've located one of the main rooms, like whether it's the bridge or the navigation, surely you almost then want to create paths of light to that location, move back through some other points, and just create kind of these clean runs that are lit. Because then if you need to backtrack to those key rooms, and often you do, you've got these lit corridors that you're not having to worry about monsters going down.
Yeah. Well, the monsters will still be there, but if you kill them, they'll dissolve and go away. Yeah.
Okay, so they don't respawn as such. So if you've killed them in a lit room, that's it. They're done for, is it?
Yeah,
Is that the
yeah.
way it
Then
works?
they'll dissolve into like that black stuff that they just float up into the air.
Took me
Okay.
a while to figure that out. Yeah, because I've killed stuff before and I've seen it dissolve, and then I've killed stuff other times. It just lays there, and I'm like, why is that not?
You see, this bit of information is a game changer for me.
It makes a huge difference. I like to carry one battery with me at all times.
Yeah.
Or just because of that.
Mm.
And he sped up in the last up patch. I think he sped up your walk speed. So
Nice.
which is nice. So you don't have to use that because that one perk where you sped up your walk speed was nice. But man, only having 6 inventory slots is
The negatives are massive
Huge.
negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about that. I was like, dude, I'm looking at these and I'm like, why would anybody want these perks? This sounds awful. No weapons? What?
Oh, you're talking about the modifiers that are available.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
risk
and he's like,
reward-
well, yeah, that way the people, once you figure the game out and you can get through it, that way you can make it more difficult. You get
Yeah,
playing
why would you torture yourself like that? The main base game is hard enough as it is without, making it more
I
difficult
think
for yourself.
The only one I've seen perk-wise that I would kind of argue, but it all depends on your play style. The only one I would probably argue is actually more helpful is the one that gives you loads of inventory, but it knocks
takes
your
half your
right
health
down.
off. Yeah.
So I'm all right tackling the monsters. Like I can take them down. So it's
But
inventory management.
The
for me.
jumpy eye spiders, like
Don't worry about
yeah, but if they're hiding in like a corner or something, you've got half health. You just won't make it through because they take off a lot of health when they hit
Slow
you.
and
Those
steady
things.
wins the race.
Yeah, that's what happened to me
Softly,
the other night.
catchy monkey.
Exactly.
I was so damn close. I had gone through. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to get this thing because I got the jump drive going. I got the navigation going. I had the bridge. I got to Earth. I'm going to my shuttle. I know where that's it. And I had my electricity there, and I had an extra oxygen there just in case. And I'm like, I'm doing it. But my health was down to, I just had like maybe a quarter of my health left. I walked by a door, and there's one of those great big eyeball blobs that just hides.
With the
The
whipping
next thing I
arm.
go, thunk, right dead. I was like, no!
Oh my god!
It was
Close.
it's heartbreak personified, that game, because there were so many moments when I was playing and I made it to the shuttle and died, and that was bad enough. I could have died 30 times on the run up to that. There was one point where I just got the last you have to find the replacement fuses, the kind of
Those
energy
big
cells.
green things, yeah.
And that at that point I really thought I was done for, because you get to that jump drive room and you're like, oh my god, it's just this and the bridge, and then you find out that the jump drive needs powering as well, and it's like,
Needs 4 of them, doesn't it? 4 cores.
Gotta
whatever
get
it is.
more power. My word, I don't know if you heard that. Some kind of explosion outside.
Yeah.
I heard something.
Great times. It's always exciting around here.
It is.
But yeah, at that point I looked at it and I was like, right, so I need to now go back into the spaceship where the monsters are in search of fuel cells. Multiple fuel cells. And I don't know if it was just the run I was doing, but they were quite close to that room. They were in the same...
I've always found them pretty close.
So I think there's a thought process there. Obviously, Sergio's kind of gone, we don't want to send you right back out across the other side, because that's just me.
Yeah.
But when I went out there and I found them, the room they were in had, I think, 3 of the things that disappear when it goes dark, and then reappear. I can't remember which way around it is.
Those things.
The disappear, the rib cagey open one.
Yeah.
Oh god! Oh yeah, I hate those.
I hate those.
3 of them in there. One of the blob things with the whipping arms. And I don't know how I survived that encounter. I'm glad I've got it on camera, because I've got it to reference in the future when I need to. But I don't know how I got through that. Did all that, grabbed the fuel cells, and was like, let's go back. Went through the wrong door, and as soon as I opened the door, a little turret was like, beep, 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 beep.
Oh, yeah, those things too. It's like,
My health was already about 2%. The options run out, and I freaked the hell out, and I just span and tried to shut the door. It didn't shoot me, but I was so certain in that moment I was done for.
Oh my
That
god!
game just sets up so many horrible things that could happen to you at any moment.
I know, and that's the genius of this game. It's
so
the
good.
genius of this game. Is that the way it's crafted is it just produces these moments of pure adrenaline, pure survival horror. And it's been amazing, like listening to people's stories about this game as they play it. All through the VR community, everyone's got a story about when they played Cosmodread and when they nearly made it to the end of the game. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember of any other game that's really caused a stir like that. And that's why it's so unique.
least the
another
music
thing
is
that's so
give away with the
brilliant
monster.
about it is that it
Oh my god.
it builds off of something like Dread Halls. and the fact that it's so much deeper. There's so much more.
It's
this game
vastly
is,
improved.
It's roguelike, it's survival horror, it's it's got like the inventory management in it. It's just so good.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Love the fabricator as well. You know, the fact you can
awesome. The crafting.
Good crafting system in the game, which is new. That wasn't in Dreadhalls, was it?
Well, you couldn't even defend yourself in Dreadhalls. In Dreadhalls, you were a helpless young boy running through those.
Yes. Yes.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I still have terrified memories of that as well.
Those blueprints are hard to find too, man.
God, it's so hard to find.
The best one I found so far is a chest armor. It's really easy to make, and that's the last one. So yeah, and you just take it, you make it, you pull it, you put it on your chest, and there it is. It's just really intuitive like that, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was nice.
And that makes a hell of a difference, does it? In counters.
Yeah, and it only takes like 3 metals, 3 plastics, and 1 electricity.
And it reduces damage significantly. Yeah. So
on it, I guess. I mean, because I almost beat the game, so I'm gonna guess yes.
Okay. All right. Armor's key as well.
The kind of the persistent element of a roguelike is my favorite part. The fact that although a run is a run, and when you die, and you go back to the start. Most of the best roguelikes I've ever played let you keep something.
Yeah.
Because that encourages you to go again. Like, okay, I died. That really sucks. Yeah. But I found that blueprint. And I found that gun, and now I can start with that gun because I've got the blueprint for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So your runs get better. So I mean, I haven't found. I need to play some more this weekend. You're just making me want to play it right now. I need to find the health file blueprint.
Yes,
because I think that is so crucial.
Okay, it is that and the pistol. I want the pistol because that's the best gun in that game that I've played. It's got the most. Sergio said, "Yeah, it's a little bit overpowered. I might fix." I was like, "Don't fix that, please, please."
It's the only thing that gives you a fighting chance. Like that crossbow. Oh, that crossbow.
It's all right. It's all right, but once you get used to it, the first time you get it though, it's like, how do I? Oh my god, you can't get it loaded.
Have you used the explosive bolts? Have you found any of those?
No, I haven't.
Those are nice.
Red ones. If you see red bolts, pick them up, and they kind of do it. They'll take down some of the bigger monsters in 2 hits. So they're
nice.
Really worth if you find them.
Another thing that's really handy that isn't like real obvious. I mean, if you're like me and you're playing one of those games and all this stuff's happening and these hints come on the screen, I don't even see the hints. I don't know. I'm too busy. But your ammo, you don't have to bring your inventory up to find your ammo. You just reach behind your shoulder, just like Alex. And that's
genius.
So much.
I didn't know that, I think, until you said.
Yeah.
I was there bringing my inventory up, I was running out of rooms whilst bringing my inventory up because I knew there was monsters behind me. So I'd start running away with the inventory, like, get my ammo, put that, and then I'd turn around and start shooting. But if I could just do that,
it makes it so much better.
It does.
Doesn't necessarily teach you these things. They're in there to be discovered. And I think that's part of why I play so many roguelikes, because they're all like that. They're very kind of obtuse. They kind of hide their secrets within the game, and you only learn them by playing the game, and then you get better as you play. And a little bit like what you just mentioned about kind of everyone has a story. It's because it's up to you to craft your own experience in those games. You're not pushed, you're not funneled down a specific route. Every time we load in, it's a different layout of a spaceship. So your spaceship's different from my spaceship, and it's different from Greg's spaceship. Our spaceship's all different. So and you have these. I think the term's emergent gameplay. It's kind of gameplay moments that you see it a lot in big open world games. Crazy things that happen to you, and then you've got that story because it's not a scripted event. So like in Red Dead Redemption, you're riding a horse and an eagle comes down and picks up a man and flies off, and you're like, what the hell just happened there?
Yeah.
It's not a scripted event, but it's just something that's happened within the world and within the constraints of the game. And this is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Because we'll all have examples of things that have happened to us in our version of that world that someone else won't have. Opening a door and there's a monster right there, it might have happened to you, but I've never experienced that. So I think I can't wait to see what Sergio continues to do.
Yeah,
He's doing incredible stuff. I love Dreadhalls. I love Cosmo.
It's great.
Bring it on.
It's great to know that there's this developer out there that's kind of pushing this kind of roguelike genre forward, in amazing ways. So
it's horror as well, which is
and horror. Yeah, we know that you two absolutely love horror. I'm kind of back into it these days, which is good. But yeah,
I'd quite like to see a ghosty one because like something a bit more like Exorcist or something, because I guess Dreadhalls is kind of Dreadhalls is kind of monsters.
It's monsters, yeah.
And then you've got your sci-fi one. I'd like to see kind of maybe procedurally generated haunted houses.
Oh,
Or like an asylum, like a procedurally generated asylum with ghosts in it. That would be, really harness that popularity of
roguelite Outlast.
Oh, God. Hook it to my veins.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Good stuff. Okay, well, we're all excited for the future of this game. Hopefully, maybe add a new ship layout or something, more weapons, more enemies. There's bound to be some improvements in the future, more DLC perhaps that he's going to add to the game.
Right now he's like, I'm fixing bugs.
Yeah,
it's like
I can imagine.
He said he's been bug fixing since January, and it's just he's like, there's always something broken.
It's the very real reality of, I don't want to talk out of turn, but one man dev team.
Well, he's the main guy. Now he did hire, I think he said he had about 6 people for this game, for like monsters, music, and that type of thing. But
okay.
Yeah.
What an effort!
What an effort indeed. So this occurred to me the other day. You played it on your channel, but there is another similar game to Cosmodread that already previously existed. So what's it called? It's the Persistence, isn't it?
The Persistence.
Now,
that's a good game.
Picked this up on Steam just recently, and I've done. My intention with most of my videos is I'll do kind of like one shots, infotainment, just so you can watch it, laugh at me, decide whether you want to buy it. But I think I'm going to continue this one.
Okay.
It hooked me immediately. No hand tracking, and I know that turns a lot of people off.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's more immersive to be in the world. So it's controller or keyboard and mouse. But it's a very, very similar setup to Cosmodread. You spawn into a spaceship, procedurally generated environments, but it's a heavy reliance on stealth. It reminds me a huge amount of, it's got real Alien Isolation vibes.
Oh, nice.
Real Event Horizon vibes if you've seen the film.
Yes.
Great film if you haven't seen it. I was immediately hooked. The thing that I really like about Persistence is when you die, inevitably, you will die. You spent a lot of time harvesting stem cells. So sneaking up behind an enemy that's not aware of you being there, you've got this little harvester and you can pull stem cells from the enemy and you build them up on a run.
Okay,
there's 3 different currencies in the game, but stem cells are one of them.
Yeah.
Once you die, you're cloned. Cloning is the big thing in this game, and you come back out as a fresh new clone in the kind of the main hub area. In that area, you then spend the stem cells to upgrade your health or your speed or your damage output, and that stuff is persistent. So you'll go back in. If you die again, come back out, pump your health up some more. You're going back in, you're feeling a bit stronger every time. And it's the same for weapons. Again, there's a crafting element. You build weapons, and once you've built them once, they're unlocked, and then you have to pay to build them again, but they're unlocked. I'm kind of shocked it's sat under my radar for so long, because it ticks all the boxes for me. Sci-fi horror, it's a roguelike, it works in VR, and they've just recently started teasing a PS5
upgrade. Yeah,
really? So it's coming to PS5.
Hopefully the PC version will get the same thing.
Someone I asked that question on the post, and then someone tagged me this morning in a response from the devs saying that upgrades are coming to the PC version. Whether they're the same upgrades, we don't know, but there is going to be something for PC players. A lot of people still in that community, and I don't think it's a huge community, but the people that still engage with that game, there's still a huge amount of people calling for motion controls.
Motion controls would be great. I'd like to see some graphical upgrades too, honestly, because I got that game on the PlayStation VR like a couple of years ago, I think, maybe when it first came out. And I think that was one of the things. Graphically, I felt it was just a little, for the environment it wanted to make, it didn't feel dirty, and it felt cartoony to me.
It's very clean.
Yeah, and that's one of the brilliances of Cosmodread is it's just
dirty.
It's
broken
a dirty
down
game. It's filthy.
It's perfect,
isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't it? It's really filthy.
Dirty boy.
We love that filth. We love that filth. We do. We love it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do see what you mean. Someone on my channel compared it to System Shock. It looks very System Shock, and System Shock, I see it. It's a kind of very clean. It's almost like Space Odyssey 2001. It's very kind of white walls. It doesn't look like much has occurred there. And then when you actually start going through the environments and it's filled with these zombies, it's like zombies everywhere. This place should be covered in blood. There should be, and it is a little bit. I think it does atmosphere really well, but in certain parts. So I don't know how far you got, but
I haven't played too terribly much of it. Maybe a couple hours. So
kind of unlike Cosmodread, it's broken down into almost acts. So the first act is you need to get to, a bit like Cosmo, like a jump drive and power the ship up. Once you've done that, as long as you hit power up, if you die, you go back to the main room. But the next time you go in, you're chasing the second objective. First objective is done, so you don't need to do that bit again. You've nailed it. But because of that, the game's broken up into kind of sections. So when you first go in, you're just exploring, you're checking out the spaceship because they say it's random. But when you reach the point where you need to activate the jump drive, you get sent down a certain corridor. And I don't know if that is procedural, because that bit was absolutely terrifying. It was the most scared I've been in VR recently.
Really?
It's a section where they throw in this new enemy type that scuttles around, and you can hear it running around behind you, and it hides around corners. So when you come around a corner, it will jump out at you, and it's like these zombies with pipes, and they come right out at you. But that whole section felt very scripted, because as you're walking through, it's silent, and then a pipe will burst, and then another thing will go, and then a zombie will jump out. And I'd like to see that played out by somebody else, but at points, it is terrifying.
Amazing.
For the most part, it's all right. But at those bits, it nails it. I would love to see. I'm glad they're continuing it. I was surprised to see a PS5 version announced. I didn't know how well known this game was.
I didn't even know that it was available on PC. I thought it was a PlayStation exclusive originally.
I remember it being announced. But
okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think it's one that I'm probably going to pick up then and play.
If you're enjoying Outlast, and you kind of like that a little bit slower paced. It's a bit of a slower paced horror game. Again, very similar to Cosmodread in that respect. Like if you go through slowly, you'll probably be okay because you can stealth the enemies. One hit takedown with your little thing. It's nice. Definitely worth it. It was 50% off on Steam recently. I don't know whether it still is.
Okay, cool. Well, there you have it then, folks. So there's another roguelite out there that's similar to Cosmodread. Persistence. Check it out if that's something you want to do. So there you have it, folks. That's episode 9 of the Trip VR podcast. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Greg. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys here. Thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I hope you have too. So don't forget to what, Greg?
Hit like and subscribe and hit the little bell thingy and comment on the video. Share the hell out of it.
Share the hell out of it on all social channels. Do it.
That's right.
Good stuff. And we'll see you next time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for being here. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.